the Forged and Unbroken podcast.
And Dorsey had just left CRU and was float captain.
That's right, yeah.
And he came in, and he is the one that was like, hey, what do you want to do today? Like the guy that was like, you know, the motivator. And, oh, I got to do a rescue drill. And he said, what do you know about lash and stick? Like, I was like, nothing. Because he had just come from 10 before he went to CRU. So, like, I'm fucking cracking into him for any chance I can. And he eventually has the conversation with Bean. Like, look, this kid can't work. This kid's 19, 20 years old. He can't.
He's going freaking stir crazy.
Like, and you could tell I'm fucking dying. And so Bean's like, I agree. And Bean took care of me. Like, he was always like, I was the go-to for this, that, and the other thing. Like, we rolled up on a house off of Highland. We were running just as AFA. We roll up, and there's smoke rolling out of this bitch when we get there. It's just 51 on the call. And I'm thinking, are we going to upgrade it? And he's like, well, let's see what we got first. Like, he was one of those guys that would like put a line in place and then call it in.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Like, which is fucking
I love
cool.
that, yeah.
So we got smoke rolling out of this bitch. And he's like, it was like me and Vicky Joyner in the back. And he's like, hey, can you get in a window? And I'm like, I can break it. But he said, I don't give a fuck. They're smoking there. Get the fuck. So he's like, he was the guy, like this big fucking dude that like is just a nerd. Got his hands in my ass. I'm half fucking dressed, going through a fucking window. And I'm like, it's food on the like I can't see. I'm coughing and like tears rolling out. Like, it's food on the stove. Okay. Open it up. It's like, so like that was the relationship that Bean and I had.
Yeah.
So he calls Loomis one day because Loomis had taken over Fisher. Because, oh, by the way, after I went to 5, Fisher fucking retires. So this favor for the battalion chief, and he fucking rolls out. So Fisher retires, and Loomis takes over, and I get called. I was, one of those days where like the battalion were rolling. Back in the day where the battalion were rolling, and then everybody made themselves scarce for the officer.
Yeah, right.
So he would go in the office, him and Bean would talk, and then he would leave. It was a common occurrence, whatever. So he's in the office, so we were all making busy work, doing whatever, and I get called over the intercom to come down. And he said, give me your rookie book. Then this is like fucking way early. I'm like, okay. Like, I'm thinking I'm being spot checked or whatever. And he takes my rookie book, flips it, doesn't look at it, flips it over to the very back page, signs on the battalion, slides it over to Bean. And he goes, we got to get you out of here. Where do you want to go? And I was like, I thought Loomis hated me in the academy because he was one of those guys that like would like zone in on your ass.
Oh, totally. He just wear you out.
So he's like, where do you want to go? And I was like, anywhere you need me, sir. He's like, that's not what I asked. He said, where do you want to go? And I, Meyer was one of my best friends, and you can't get leave, so he's the person I traded with all the time. I said, I really like 10. He said, I can't make promises. Let's see what we can do. And then fucking a couple weeks later, transfer list rolls out, and I'm assigned to the truck. Didn't know hardly shit about truck company shit.
Yeah.
And I got sent to the truck.
No shit.
So I finished my last.
I didn't realize I was under Loomis either.
Scared the shit. And, well, Loomis was also the dude to break the news to me about halfway through my rookie book when it was being done. He's like, hey, we had switched from, you remember this, we switched from policies and procedures to general orders and special orders.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that.
So I asked Bean, I'm like, hey, what do I do? He said, let me check with the battalion. I'll get back to you. And he comes back down. He's like, you got to redo it. Which I'm glad I was at 5 because I had more time.
You had time to grind.
Had time to fucking do it. But that was my rookie year.
Jeez,
so I finished it off at 10. I even got a better story if you want to put it on there for my very first day.
Yeah, okay.
It was a fucking my first day.
Going.
I hope you edit this so I don't sound like a bumbling idiot. My first day for the fire department was a train wreck. You remember the time because we were dual classes. So you guys were 3.5, probably almost 4 months ahead of us.
It was something like that. You were August, right? When you got in?
So you guys were April, we were August?
April, yeah.
So regardless, conditioning-wise, you guys were leaps and bounds in front of us. So if we were ever in the gym at the same time, everybody in my class was like, oh, fuck. Because they were going to wear us, because they held us to your standard.
To our standard. We had 4 months on you.
It's no different than any other training you do. You raise the bar, everybody's got to meet that bar. Yeah. The only day that saved our ass with you guys was one day somebody in your class didn't have like running shoes. So you guys got grilled and had to do it in your station boots, and we basically got left alone. And it was even worse because they took you out to the field. Do you remember this?
Yes.
So Sanchez brings the bus over, puts us in the bus, and is basically like, when we are done with them, you are getting the wrath. So we're like, oh shit. So, and then Gordo or somebody comes up in the bus, and it was, it's summertime. He's like, "Are you guys hot? Let me get the AC on for you. Let's get you cooled down before," like we're panicking, right?
Yeah, right.
So we're watching, we're all staring out the side of the bus, watching you guys just get smoked. And you guys go in. A couple minutes later, we're sitting there in the bus waiting, quiet, nobody's saying a word. Sanchez or something comes on the bus. He says, "Okay, hit the showers." And at this point, like that, the mind game is so much worse.
Yeah,
what
like,
you
ain't
think.
no way.
It's all day long. You're panicked because like something, the ball's about to drop somewhere.
Yeah,
and
they're doing the
coming.
box alarm. Yeah, they're gonna fucking call you out of the showers.
So, that being said, out of those dual classes, I was a replacement. I was the last replacement for 21.
Okay.
And I get a call from Karen Keeker, our HR person. Hey, do you still? This was like I want to say like a Tuesday. It was in the middle of the week. I'll never forget it. She's like, "Hey, do you still want to work for Howard County Fire Department?" I said, "Absolutely." I said, "I'm excited." She said, "Okay." And she said, "Can you be here Friday? We'll get you come up Friday. The class has already started. Can you be up here Friday? We'll sign some paperwork, and then you'll be good to go."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, no problem. Before I got off the phone, I said, "What do I wear?" And she goes, "Just wear what you wear for church." I'm like, "Hey, cool." I hang up the phone. I'm like, "I don't go to church." Like, I was like, "Okay." So I'm like, I put on like some like khakis and like I had like a polo shirt. And if you look at it now, like the first days of everybody's academy, everybody's wearing like suits, like dressed for a job or a career.
Yeah.
I was dressed
for
business.
Yeah,
I was dressed for like going door to door selling vacuums. Like I was ill dressed to begin with. So anyway, I'm assuming I'm just going there to sign paperwork. So I get up the road and I'm in this parking lot, and you guys were already dressed up doing your thing. And I'm like, oh my God. And then like 21 they weren't fully in uniforms yet, I don't think, because I knew that I was grossly underdressed because I'm seeing people walk by in suits. I'm like, oh no.
Shit, here we go.
At least I'm here to sign paperwork.
Yeah.
So I go inside, I go down to the staff office, and I'm like, "Hey, Steve Schulz, I'm here to sign paperwork." They're like, "For 21?" And I'm getting barked at. I'm like, "Yeah." Then let me back up too. Nobody told me it's paramilitary, so I didn't. So I'm getting barked at the second I walk in. I'm like, well, that's kind of rude. So they're like, "Okay, they're meeting in the gym. Go up to the gym." I'm like, "Okay, cool." I go up to the gym. You guys had just left to probably take a run or something, and the class is there, and I don't know anybody. And then the instructors come up, and they all line up in their squads, and I'm like,
oh fuck, here we go.
Like, so they're like, "Schultz, get in line." So I'm like, okay, and like I find an open spot and I jump in it, and I'm standing there, and like they call everybody attention because they had already gone through military bearing.
Yeah.
So they call everybody to attention, and my dad was in the Army, so I had a general idea, but we had never gone over like the proper way to stand at attention and all that stuff.
Yeah, you know what boot camp was.
No clue.
Yeah.
No clue. I mean, I've seen movies, but like, so I'm like, what in the hell is going on? So I get up there and I'm standing up, and one of them, I think it was Sanchez, I'll never forget, gets right in my face immediately. I'm like, here we go. And he's in my ass about what I'm wearing. And I know well enough from my dad not to open my fucking mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, "Oh yes, sir," blah, blah. And his whole thing was, "Don't call me sir. I work for a living."
Yeah.
And he's on me about a gig line, and in my mind at the time, I'm like, we don't have smartphones and stuff back then. I'm like, I have no idea what a gig line is. I'm like, I'm sorry I messed it up. I was like, I'll do better next time. If I go home and get on the internet, I can figure out what the hell you're talking about, but I don't know. So anyway, they're in my face. He's screaming. He was a spitter when he would scream. So I'm getting sprayed, and then the class breaks off, and one of the instructors was like, "Hey, Karen's not here yet. She'll get here at like 9. Can you push a broom?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I can push a broom. I can push a broom like the best of them." So I'm, polishing the turd that was the academy at the time and sweeping to the best of my ability. And she gets there, and we go through all the insurance paperwork and benefits, and she's like, "Oh, this is a paramilitary class." I was like, "Yeah, it is."
Yeah, figure that out quick.
So she's like, "Well, you're all the way from Southern Maryland. If you want, you might as well just stay for the day." And I'm like,
Oh shit.
Okay. Like so far it's gone stunningly. So I'm like, sure. So they get back, they shower, they do their house duties, and we get sat in class. And I'm like, that was kind of okay because I had MIFRE training and stuff before, so I knew that end of it. So that wasn't as terrible until lunchtime. So remind you, I was there to sign paperwork.
You don't have any food or anything.
I have nothing.
Yeah.
Guess who calls that shit out immediately? The captain at the time was Captain Bucher, who was sitting at the front of the class. He's like, Trainee Schulz, stand up. I'm like, here we go again. He goes, where's your lunch? Don't have one, sir. I was here to sign paperwork. He said, I know. Sit down. And so I sit down, and he pulls this desk out and puts this desk in the middle of the back of the class. And I'm like, oh, what is this? He goes, go sit at that desk. So I'm like, okay. So I go, I sit at the desk, and I have no problem with not eating. I don't want to eat. I'm scared out of my mind, like, of what's happening next. I don't know what's going on. Class 21, stand up. Everybody stands up. Hold your lunches up. So they hold their lunch up, and he says, go in your lunches. Everybody pull out one thing. So I'm like, oh, no. So they go through, they pull out one thing, and they're like, stand up, get in a line. They all go through to my desk and all put one thing on the desk in front of me. And I'm like, holy shit. So at the time, we had 25 people there. I've got 25, different things. The majority of them are like 13 bags, like sour cream and onion chips. So, you're
never going to eat all that.
Oh, anyway. Hell no. So I start eating or whatever. And at the time, I know nobody. And the guy sitting close to me was Chris Meyer. He was relatively close to my age, and took me under his wing and was like, "Hey, I got you." And from that point on, that was my dude.
Yeah, yeah.
If he asked me to this day to come up and give him my shirt off my back, I would do it in a minute because that one moment, he took me under his wing, and it was all fine after that. I remember the long drive home. I was like, "What in the hell did I get myself into?" Yeah. I like it. I think I love it. But I absolutely hate it. And that's been the mirror of my entire career. There's been so much cool stuff that I've done that that was awesome. I love it. I love the experience, but what the hell was that?
It's like a good analogy for your whole career. It's funny that I was 4 months ahead of you, and I had the same thing happen with Karen Keeker, but I had a wildly different experience.
Oh, dude.
So I'm 4 months ahead of you. She calls me on a Friday. I'm doing landscaping, construction, driving truck, shit like that. She calls me on a Friday afternoon and says, hey, do you want to work for Howard County Fire and Rescue? Show up on Monday. So I show up on Monday. Same thing. What should I wear? She tells me boots, navy blue pants, and a white T-shirt. Okay. So now I'm 4 months ahead of you. She at least gives me a little bit of an idea. She told you something totally different.
Where would you wear to church? And I'm like, okay, a polo shirt.
So I show up. I'm like, I'm going to get there at 6 a.m. thinking I'm going to be way early because Academy started at 7. I show up at 6 a.m. and it's just a gravel parking lot full of all these vehicles, and I see maybe one person scoot in. So I'm like, oh fuck, I'm already behind. So I go in, and there's 30 some people of class 20 with their red bags in a hallway and just clothes everywhere. They hadn't done a tornado thing yet, but everybody's just, you can tell tension is high. People are freaking out. People are running everywhere, and I walk in I don't know what the fuck's going on. Some dude throws me a sweatshirt. I don't even know. He doesn't even work here anymore. I don't think he made it through the academy. He's like, here, dude, just throw this on so you look like us. So I throw it on, and they just begin to berate us. Same thing. I think they knew I was coming. I probably signed some paperwork, and they're like, cool, off to the races.
You're ours now.
We go up to the gym to do the whole thing. I am sitting there. I think it may have been day 2. I show up thinking, oh, I can totally get away. I shaved yesterday. I'm fine today. Bucher and Sanchez wear me out. Oh, yeah. Because I hadn't shaved every single day, right? So I had gone 24 hours thinking I was fine. They put me at the front of the room and said, who here's got a razor? Jose Cañas had a handful of disposable razors as a bag. So you're going to sit here and dry shave in front of everyone. Ooh. So I'm sitting there.
Tugging at
it. And first swipe, thing snaps in half. Oh. Sir, and if I'm freaking out, he's going around the other 30 people yelling at him, and I'm just holding up this broken razor. Jose had a second one.
I would
Gives me
admit I
that.
had to make myself bleed. To be
Dude,
like,
I was bleeding everywhere, and I'm just sitting there dry shaving in front of everybody. I don't have shirts. I don't have anything. I think Ronnie Lagana finally got me hooked up with stuff, and he's sitting there just like a disappointed father. You know, just everything was always wrong. But it's just funny that like Karen told me something completely different, and I was a couple months ahead. I was actually supposed to be in your class. I was a 21 candidate.
Okay.
And I was one of the first ones to get picked up for 20.
You know, Kanye's came to my car at the end of that first day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he came to my car and he slipped me a Post-it note or a piece of paper or something, had his phone number. He said, hey, look, he said, it's going to be a rough start, but if you need anything, call me.
Oh, dude.
And I was like, holy shit. Like, I'm not even in this dude's class. And I was like, man, that was solid. Like, that
Yeah.
right there was what the whole thing was about.
Yeah. Man, that dude's amazing.
Yeah.
He's doing well in Philly now, doing all that. But yeah,
It's a good dude.
that's a top-notch
Really
dude,
good
man.
dude. That was a brutal time in the academy, too, because I see, like, because they'll post videos and stuff now of them doing workouts or whatever and updates of the academy classes. And they've got this beautiful gym and all this nice equipment. I hated the folding chairs and the water. You remember the water bottles and the folding chairs? You hold a folding chair out in front of you for the better half of 90 seconds, 2 minutes, whatever, and your hands are shaking. And
It's like an old school church hall,
good
like metal
God.
folding chair.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
That was brutal. And they wanted to break you. And
Oh, yeah.
and you were just trying not to be that guy.
Yeah.
And because I remember, we did fitness assessments.
Mm-hmm.
My first fitness assessment. Now, the only thing I had about me back then was like I was maybe 150 pounds. I was tiny, but I could run. Like I could run like Forrest Gump until you told me to stop. I could just run. That was the only thing I was good at. So the days that we would run, I was fine. The days that we would do the weight training, I was like, oh my God, like I'm dying. I'm smaller than everybody else. I'm, some of the class, like, we're full on adults. Some of them had come back from military duty and like they were squared away.
Mm-hmm.
So our first fitness assessment, we go over to River Hill High School, and one of the things we got to do is a mile run. So I'm like, this is where I'm going to show off. I'm going to smoke this thing.
I'm going to fucking crank it.
So I did like a 6-minute mile.
Yeah.
And I felt good about it. Like I was like, hey, it's not super fast, but it's not slow. And
for the fire department's
so we turn in all this, and they're timing you, and they're like, by the way, you have to show improvement throughout the academy. So I'm like, holy, like I'm
supposed to
I'm
shave
gassed.
that time off, right? Yeah.
Like, and I just did a 6-minute mile, and like I gave you what I got. So, long story short, we do it again towards the end of the academy, and they're like fitness assessment. And then in my mind, I'm going through like this minor PTSD event. Now I'm like, oh my God, I did a 6-minute mile. I got to beat it. And they're barking at you the whole time because they know, and part of it's the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm on pace. Like I was far better in shape, far more in tune. So I was at a good clip.
Yeah.
So I was gonna be close to the 6 again, and it was me and Steve Tucker, and Steve Tucker just got back from duty in the Middle East. Yeah. So he was squared away.
Yeah.
And I don't remember which instructor said when I walked by, because he was ahead of me. From Jump Street, and I was, maybe 60 yards behind him on the run, and they were like, "If you don't beat Tucker, you're fired." And I'm like, I was a 19-year-old kid. I believed everything
they said. Yeah, right.
If somebody said it to me, if they had,
I'm getting fired.
If they had collar pins on, it was gospel.
Yeah, right.
So I'm like, I'm getting fired so I turned it on. Like I dropped the hammer, and past Tucker, so that it became a thing where like now everybody's cheering and yelling, and I'm like, they think it's fun. I think I'm going to lose my job, so I'm giving it my all. And I think I did. I think I turned over. I think it was like a 5-minute, 47-second mile.
Shit.
The fastest one ever. I'll never do it again.
Yeah, no.
If you told me I'd do it tomorrow, I'd be like, yeah, kiss my ass. I'm fired.
I'm ripping a hamstring.
I'm over. But I did a 5-minute, 47 seconds or 48-second mile. Like it was fast.
Yeah.
And I was gassed. Like it was all I had. But yeah,
that whole thing.
Tucker was just as fast. That dude had some wheels on him. And he was he was just super. He was another dude that kind of took me under his wing, and it's like, listen, I've been through boot camp, I've been overseas, like it's all mind game. I'm like, they're gonna fire you. And like, well, they could, but we're not gonna let
Probably
them.
not. Yeah.
So I was like, God. Yeah, it was
that one run you were talking about when we were all in the backfield. That's when Bucher ran into the soccer goal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, he's just sitting there barking like a dog
Ugh.
at people and wasn't paying attention and ran straight into the goalpost.
There,
Just
there were certain voices
cleaned
back
out.
then because the way that academy was set up, it was almost like an auditorium where you could hear everything.
Yeah.
So as the instructors would come up, they're talking or laughing or whatever in the morning, you could hear it come up the stairwell. So
Mhm.
you're standing at attention waiting, and you would hear certain voices. And Bucher was one of them where I'd get a sick feeling in my stomach. So I'm like, this dude is a junkyard dog
Yeah.
that's coming after us.
Yep.
And it was always something he would, you'd study what they'd give you to study, and you would answer it and the best you could. And then you would go through, and if you answered everything right, they'd ask you a question like, well, who's assigned to the quartermaster? I don't know. Like, I know the 30 people that are in this room.
Yeah, right.
I know your name. But
Yeah, he'd find anything to fuck with you.
oh yeah.
So you went to, just skipping forward a little bit, you went to 10.
I went to 10, the end of my recruit year.
And so now you're in the special ops, and now you got to get ramped up for that.
Yeah,
Right?
so
There's a massive amount of training to get like qualified as an SO member for us.
early on, one of the first trades I did over on A shift. Now remember, I'm coming from Southern Maryland, which we didn't. There was no SO component down there at the time. Like there was really.
You had what, probably a year or two of volunteer time down there?
I had 3 years, going on 4 years of volunteering. So I started in the middle of high school. A good friend, I didn't know what I wanted to do exactly. I had worked for my grandfather doing construction. I liked it. It was honest work. It was good work. But, he had always said, like, you got to do something that makes you some money. He was never, like, we were never poor, but he was like, when I worked for him, but he was always like, go do something that makes you happy, that you don't want to do this for your life kind of conversation, which I loved working with him. So I loved it. It didn't bother me. And I'd done it to this day if he was still around. And then I had done evening work, like after school and stuff. And my mom had worked in a law office. So I had a lot of exposure to criminal law and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So I had kind of which is why I think that's why I kind of fell in love with doing the executive board shit back in the day, because that's kind of our own way of litigation, that kind of thing.
Sure.
So I had kind of enjoyed that a little bit. And I had a friend one day at school. He just started volunteering. I'm like, hey, I had an uncle that volunteered at Waldorf when I was really little. I remember going up there to their open houses and getting in the back of a open cab Han and going on fire truck rides, that kind of thing. And I'm like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. He said, you can do it now if you wanted to. I'm like, really? It's like high school? He's like, yeah. He said, if you just show up and put in an application like you would a job, and you can start.
You're kind of in, yeah.
So I did that at 16. Showed up, and like day one, I'm like, man, this is something. Like this, it was like the way that people talk to each other, the way they held each other. Like I'm like, this is different than anything I've ever been exposed to. The legal side of it, like with doing the law stuff, I mean, that was a very different, like it's very corporate-esque kind of world. And then working for my grandfather, I mean, I could have done the best job or worst job in the world, but at the end of the day, I'm working for my grandfather. He was going to take care of me. But this was different, and immediately I fell in love. Yeah. And I like early on, before I had any sort of training whatsoever, they had a drill house come up, and they're like, look, they gave you gear. Like when you join, they give you gear. Like, here you go. I'm like, how do I put it on? Like, you'll figure it out. Like, it's like, so I'm like, okay.
It's very low tech.
Oh, 100%. Like a snap is a snap, a button's a button. The right glove goes on the right hand. I was like, I got this figured out. So, I put all that stuff on, figured it out. I'm like, hey, if you want some exposure, because I had to wait for a firefighter 1 class to come up. Like, if you want some exposure, come to this drill house. And I'm like, okay. And this guy named Bobby Presley at the time, who, not a career fireman, to this day, one of the best firemen I ever knew. It was just the dude knew it, had it figured out, loved it, but just the career side just never was in the cards for him. And he kind of took me under his wing when I started volunteering, and he was like, look, we're going to go in there. He ran me through how to wear a BA and all that kind of stuff. He said, we're going to go in there. I'm going to put you on the nozzle so that you get the most exposure to heat and what it's like. And hit it when you're ready. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And he's like, well, you know, when you feel like, he said, you'll know, but don't hit it too early, because you hit it too early and everybody's going to think, you know, you can't do it or whatever. So I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, how do I know if it gets too hot? And he goes, well, you'll feel bee stings, that kind of thing. So I'm like, okay. So it's our turn to go up. We go up there, and this is back in the day when like we did drill houses differently. Like if it had a metal roof, they found extra metal from the roofing and they would put it over the windows, and that was what they did to help hold the heat
Seal
in.
it up,
To give you a little bit more exposure to whatever, you know what it was.
Yeah.
So we go in. I'll never forget. It was this old farmhouse that was, you know, how they were built. They're built sturdy and stout. And we go up the second floor, and I round the corner. And as I make the top of the stairwell, it is well out of the room, well down the hallway, and at the top of the steps. And the one thing I do remember sticking out in my head, they're like, don't hit it in a doorway, get all the way in the room first. And I think there was 3 of us on the line. He said, make sure everybody's in the room before you hit it. So I'm like, okay. So I go in the room, and I'm getting blasted. I'm telling you, I am getting blasted. It's well over my head. This is before the days of like, hey, knock it back and chase it back, that kind of thing. It was like, get in there, get in there, get in there. So I get in this room. Next guy comes in. Third guy is like getting hose up the steps. And I'm waiting on him. He finally makes it in the room, and I look, and he hasn't been exposed to any heat yet. And I'm at this point, my air's already hot, and I thought that was a thing. Like I was like, I guess this is just
what happens.
This is just what happens. Like I got a air cylinder on my back. It's gonna get hot. It's a hot room. I get it. I've already got bee stings, like on both shoulders. My ears are feeling like they're gone. And I'm like, I guess this is what it is. And third guy gets in the room, like, hit it yet? He's like, if you not, I mean, you can, because he hasn't been exposed to anything. Like, not yet. And I'm like, okay. So a couple more seconds go by, and I turn around, and I'm like, hit it yet? And like the smoke has come down, and they are laying down. And they're like, hit it. And I'm like, holy crap. So I open it up, and we come out, and like everybody's steaming. Like, are you okay? I'm like, I think so.
Yeah, right.
Take my
Your
jacket
adrenaline's just fucking stroking.
Take my jacket off. My ears and my entire shoulder was covered in blisters. Like I was so burned. Because, you know, back then they gave you, you know, the new guy got the worst gear.
You got the shit, yeah.
So I got this old ass gear, and I'm like, hey, is this normal? They're like, no, not really. We're going to take you to the burn center. So I go out to PG, and I get the first official scraping of my career, where they give you the brush and
debride you, whatever.
And that was my first exposure. And I was like, I come back, and you know, at the time, they kind of get hailed as a hero. Like there's this new kid that like,
right. It was a little different back
so
then.
they're like, hey, look, don't ever do that again. But that was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
Right? I'm like, holy shit. Like, so this is what, and my mom at the time, she had no idea what to think of the whole thing, because I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. Yeah. And she's like, I don't think so. But that was my first exposure. And then I went to like, you know, I was riding by that point, and then, you know, you go to firefighter 1. I'd already ran a couple working fires by the time I finished firefighter 1. So like that was nothing compared to like, you know, you do the stand up, sit down, and I was like, I was just laying down in a room, breathing hot ass air,
me, right?
And you got me in a room with some Excelsior, or what I thought was hay at the time, and taking my glove off. I'm like, this is nothing. So that was my exposure. I remember, before I was done, we were even halfway through firefighter 1, and I was taking a K-12 and cutting a steel door open, as like, because there was nobody back then. I mean, there was no career department. There was like, you just rode. At the time, if you were in the firehouse and they were short, you got on whether you were cleared on or not, you got on the rig and you went.
Yeah, you're doing shit.
So you better figure it out.
Right.
So I learned early on, like, if I want to help, I need to know what the hell this shit is. And I was taking tools off and looking at it and figuring it out, and most of the time breaking it, figuring it, you know. But that was my exposure to the volunteer world, and then I found out that, you know, that you can make a career out of it, and I was like, I'd like to give that a go. So the end of my high school life, like my senior year, I did the cadet program, through down there, and at the time I had like firefighter 1, firefighter 2 already, so they give you all those classes. So those days I would skip, and we would go fishing and stuff. But I did that cadet program, and then I just started applying. Like at the time, DC was on a freeze. I had started a community college down there and majored in fire science because I was like, I'm gonna do whatever I can to better my odds of getting hired. And I said, might as well get educated. And I was going through fire science, and I was leaving a weight training class one day. And a buddy of mine I had volunteered with, who was at a different house down there, was like, "Hey, are you taking Howard's test?" And I was like, "Where the hell's Howard?"
I said, "You even know where that was?"
No idea. Like, I remember driving through it to go to like an Orioles game, but I was like, I have no idea where Howard County. He's like, by Baltimore. I was like, I don't know. When is it? He's like, tomorrow. I was like, okay. I had applied for, I want to say, it might have been PG and NDW. And NDW was just this like Hail Mary on USA Jobs. And I think PG was something similar. And like I said, DC was on a hiring freeze, so Howard was like the first official test I took. Yeah. Back, what was that, 2004, I think? We all went to the community college.
Yeah, it would have been,
And I mean, I knew so little about life. I mean, I was a kid. I was 19. Sure. I just knew so little about life that I got my MapQuest directions, and I'm cruising down the road. It's like probably one of the farthest drives I've ever made in my life, and I make the wrong turn. Like I'm cruising around the Capitol Beltway. And I remember calling my dad. I'm like, "Hey," I was like, "I'm trying to go to Howard." I said, "I'm passing the Mormon temple." He was like, "No, you're not."
Taking a long way.
Yeah, he goes, "You need to turn around." Because I was like, I'm starting to see signs for Virginia, and I know that that's not right. He's like, "Yeah, no, you need to turn around. You missed the exit for 95. So I go up there, and this is back when I think I was 4 hours early, and I think I was still, my number was like close to 200. There was a lot of people there before me, and I thought I was going to miss it.
Yeah.
And we all sat in that big ass room and took this test. And like I said, I didn't hear anything for months, and then I get a phone call saying, "Hey, do you
show up?"
Work? And jeez, like, hell yeah! So immediately, like, dropped everything, dropped out of school because I was like, I got to focus on the academy. My mom hated that. She was like, "Can you do both?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll get back into it." I said, "As soon as I get through the academy, I'll get back into school."
Yeah.
That was years later. So, because you put a real paycheck in front of a 19-year-old kid, and it's over.
It's the most money you've seen in your life.
No, dude, it was. This is my mindset at the time. I was 19 years old. I may have told you this story before. Here's where I was mentally. Mm-hmm. That paycheck rolled across the table, and I opened it up, and I looked at it, and I was like, "Holy!" It was like $840. Yeah, I was like, "This is the most money I've ever seen." I'm rich, and like I'll never forget. I left the academy, and I go down the road, and the first thing I bought was a Nextel and a shotgun. Like that is where my mindset was at the time, and the rest of it probably went to like fast food and beer or whatever.
Right? Yeah. Like, I think our starting was like 33,000 or something.
Yeah, I think I was. I want to say like I have the paperwork somewhere. I don't think I was 34.6.
Okay.
And like at the time I was like, dude, I am rich. Like I wouldn't get out of bed for that today, but like back then, like, I was like, holy hell, man! Like you couldn't tell me nothing. Like I was going to buy everything.
I remember those first 2 weeks, man. Evan Mason was like the most money ever seen in his life, and then you got a guy like Doug Honig who left.
Oh yeah,
commercial electrician.
There people took pay cuts.
Foreman jobs. He's like, I haven't seen this little money in years. What the fuck did I just do?
Yeah,
that was wild.
And yeah, that's where my mentality was. But the other end of it though, like I was willing to do anything and everything to be good at the job because I was like, I got a long way to go, and I'm a kid. And back then, I don't feel like it was not nearly as accepting as it is today, where like a lot of times now, like people want you to be successful. I feel like back then it was like you either got it or you didn't. And there was like the people that we had in the service that were chiefs and captains and all, they were revered men and women. They're like, you don't want to disappoint them. Like, so like,
they came up in a fire service from the 60s, 70s,
yeah,
80s.
like these dudes and gals had done it all and seen it all. And you're like, I'm this kid. I got to prove myself that I'm good
to 19.
These people. Cause it's, at the end of the day, you're trying to meet that standard and that bar, and for us they set the bar high.
Yeah,
and especially when I went to 10, I had enjoyed the shift there. The shift was kind of a younger shift, but they were all so unbelievably smart. Mm-hmm. And one of my best friends to this day, who's was in your academy, has done phenomenally well in his career. Jeremy Clancy.
Yeah.
The dude at the time, one of the funnest people I've ever met in my life, and he's working on his master's degree.
Yeah, like his second one probably.
Oh, dude, it was. Like he had a degree in chemistry at the time, and I want to say he was working on his master's in emergency management, and you know, Meyer was working on his degree. You had other guys there that were like Timmy Daly, that, you know, my truck driver now. The dude knew everything about the fire service. Like if you asked him 900 questions, he'd tell you the right answer 899 times out of it. Like the dude had the answers, and you're like, holy crap! Like the caliber of people that I'm around now.
The chief and PG at a busy department.
100%, dude. Like
deep experience.
The bar was raised, and you can say what you want, but you raise that bar, people are going to meet it, and or at least they're going to try to.
Yeah.
So I realized early on, and I'm glad it was early in my career, but I needed to step my game up because you know, at the time I was 20. I'm coming from Southern Maryland, which is in the grand scheme of firefighting, it's aggressive down there. Like if there was 4 walls, we were going in. Like we were always made the push. Like I felt comfortable fireside, and then I get there and realize, hey, you might be brave, but you don't know anything. So I'm like, okay.
There's a difference. I appreciate that difference.
Yeah. So now I need to learn what the hell I'm doing. Like I've got the direction. I now need to know the why. And like these dudes were like the top of their game. And I mean, the shift back then, I mean, even today, I mean, they're a great group of guys, but like back then, like I was playing catch up every day.
Sure.
And on top of that, I had to get all these certifications that I'd never even heard of before to make. At the time, we called it get your S, but to be special operations certified, to get my S, I had to take all these tech classes, and I fumbled my way through chemistry in high school. So when I hit hazmat, I was like, oh my God, this is out of my wheelhouse.
Treading water.
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing. The rope concept alone just blew my mind because I couldn't wrap my head around it, and I felt like I was well outgunned. But you know, you eat an elephant one bite at a time, and I just went after it, and I kind of start falling in love with it. And then you know, you get surrounded by people that also enjoy the job, and you know, you kind of became friends with them, and it was good. Like
they're in it.
It was the perfect group for me at the time.
Yeah.
To meet that bar and to have a good time doing it.
Yeah. Well, it's a good segue. I think you're talking like the experience you had, you know, first training fires, being a volunteer firefighter, get into special ops with like squared away dudes, high standards, and then also having like the bravery, but not the experience bank yet, and building that up. So we're going to fast forward a couple years, and I'll set you up with like Blues Alley. It's like Blues Alley. So I think it was actually Tim Monks sent the pictures to our mutual friend Dave LeBlanc. He's the chief up in Massachusetts. Like awesome dude, and he travels around. He actually uses that fire, not even really knowing us at the time yet, of like go no go situations, right? Because when you look at the pictures from Blues Alley,
they're gnarly.
Like it's cranking out of the entire window.
That was one of those ones that you could see. You know how like to this day I call them no doubters. So you're going down the road and you see that smokestack. Oh, that's a no doubter. Like you can mentally get your mind right. Like but we knew coming out of the firehouse that morning that was a no bullshit call, because I want to say that might have been early on in our MDT days when a CAD comment would come across the computer, it would ding. Yeah. So I used to call it the slot machine. So if it was a good call, the slot machine would go off and you're ping, 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 they're just putting comments in. So it's early in the morning. I was working a trade. We get out to the truck, and the computer's just going ape shit. And the rundown, we're going down the road, was you get the no doubters when you're going down the road of, hey, I got a call coming across the street, or a neighbor's calling and says it sees a house on fire, or I got multiple calls, that kind of thing. Those are always like your like spidey senses of, hey, this is legit, get your mind right, get locked in. Yeah. But this call, Blues Alley, we had calls from inside, from the two trapped people inside. So they were calling from inside saying, hey, we are trapped. We are in the bathroom. We cannot get out. So that was in my mind. I'm like, oh shit. Like,
that's setting the tone.
Yeah, 100%. Like your risk benefit gets completely adjusted immediately from that information. Like you're willing to push harder, isn't because I think there's somebody, I know somebody's in there.
They're just waiting.
Yeah, at that point, like it's you or nothing. And that was one of the things that got me to fall in love with the fire department was people are calling you because they need help.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you are that help at this point. And that was one of the very early on in my career defining moments of there is nobody else that's coming. There's not the fire department's fire department.
Yeah.
These people called, they're trapped, and the world is coming, and one of us needs to make a difference because this is going to be big. And we're on 95 going south, and it's deep into Laurel, and you could see the smokestack.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, this on top of it, like it's one of those things where like now to this day, we've done it for a while, but even to this day, if we're running a fire, one of the last things I do before I roll up is I like to open my window because I want to smell, because you don't want to get like overwhelmed with your senses when you roll up because you're getting ready to see some gnarly stuff. But if you could already smell it or hear it, that kind of thing, it kind of helps you calm. For me, it helps me calm down. So when we roll in, like last night, we were in that fire with you. As I'm coming down around the corner, I rolled the window down just so I can like help get my mind right as we pull in. So I'm not like trying to like play catch up with all my senses and try and put the pieces together in my head. So the smokestack helps when you see it. You're like, okay, I'm working. I don't have to guess if I'm working or not. I am working on this call. So do you want me to run you through the whole incident?
Yeah, we hit big points.
Okay, so we get there, and originally there was water supply issues early on. That was kind of a hitch and a giddy up. There was.
I'm sorry, were you on 101 or the truck?
I was on the truck.
You were on the truck, okay.
I was on the truck, and immediately as we're pulling in, like they're hollering about water supply issues. The first due company at the time had a mechanical issue going out the door, so they had to hop on another rig to go out the door. So they were behind. Mm-hmm. All the things that create that perfect storm were happening.
Yeah, right.
On top of that, the mutual aid company that was coming in, there was kind of a confusion on whether they were running. They had a rescue engine at the time, whether they were running as a squad or they were running as an engine.
Yeah.
So that kind of brought some confusion to the fire ground. And then there was the jockey back and forth of, we had always done a really good job at RIT, and then at what point in an incident do you drop RIT to make an effective rescue? And that was one of those things where like early on, they're like, we rolled up, I think initially at the end of the day, we were first special, but we thought we were second special because of the rescue engine situation.
Okay, yeah.
So they're like, hey, you're RIT. So we're like, okay. So we get off, and I think I was riding OV at the time. So I had told my captain at the time, Steve Hardesty, I'm like, I'm gonna start banging ladders. We need egress, so I'm gonna start banging ladders. So I get one ladder off the truck. He sorts out that, hey, this is a rescue situation. We are no longer RIT. So he's like, hey, you're now rescue. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay. I said, what do you need? He was like, at the time I was working with Mark Plummer, was riding the B seat. And he was like, go with Plummer. I'm like, okay, where is he? And he points at the balcony. He's going asshole over elbows up over people in the balcony. I'm like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah, it's happening, yeah.
So I'm like,
and to set the picture, this is a very confusing.
This is
you can't even say garden apartment complex. It's an apartment complex. They're kind of back-to-back units, 2 and 3 stories.
These are 2 stories, open stairwell on the outside. The apartments all kind of mirror each other, so it's 2 apartments on each floor. Both of them mirror each other.
Yeah.
And
top and bottom, front to back.
Top and bottom, front to back. We have fire. When we rolled up, we had fire through the first and second, getting into the roof space of what I would call side alpha, which is where we planted the truck. So fire is through first and second. Known reports of entrapment to the point where like one of the last comments I heard getting out of the truck was the dispatcher saying, hey, we have an open line at this point. Like there's now an open line. So we knew they were in there somewhere. And water supply issue, first wagon's getting there late. As I'm coming across to catch up to help make the push with Plummer, there's a 2.5 in the front yard that had no nozzle on the end of it. And it just opens up. So it's like this line takes off, like everything that could go wrong is going wrong. And I make it to the second floor balcony. I'm masking up, plumbers going in through the window, and there's an engine company on the second floor balcony with a limp line. There's an engine company on the first floor outside the door with a limp line. Fire's blowing out of the door of the second floor doorway from almost floor to ceiling. And I'm like, that is not a way to go in. And I just followed plumber through. There was an open window. I don't know if he'd opened it or whatever, but we go in through the open window. Like I said, assholes over elbows.
Yeah, right.
And at this point, in your mind, you're like, okay, well, I know enough at this point that I don't have water, but there is known entrapment. So this is one of those situations where you don't really have a choice but to go ahead of the hose line,
just gotta make it happen
and push.
Yeah.
So, and I had worked with Steve Hardesty long enough and plumber long enough that I think a lot of that risk benefit analysis that you do is you have to have just blind faith in the people that you work with. Mm-hmm. And like to this day, there's guys that that you ride with that you can push harder or have to reel back. You got leash, you got your leads and you got your leashes. And if you work with somebody that you got a leash, and they, you have the faith in each other, a lot of good things will happen. And I, at the time, had all the faith in the world in these two dudes I was with. So Captain Hardesty at the time, now Chief Hardesty, but Captain Hardesty at the time was comfortable with us pushing, and he was like, go. And we made a really quick search of that first room, and command or somebody had made a decision, hey, back them out. Until we get water, you got to back them out. Because it's just the situation, at least from the outside, was deteriorating. But, like I said, everything was going wrong. As soon as we come back to the window, we kind of have this little powwow, and we had decided, hey, look, this is a small apartment building. These are small apartments. If I stay in voice, you can't see anything. So I was like, if I stay in voice contact with you, let's split up. Let's knock this thing out and get the hell out, because it was hot. So it was, like I said, back to the heat profile. You got fire from below you, fire kind of around you. So your ears are hot, your head's hot, your neck's hot, and now your knees are hot because the temperature variance everywhere.
Yeah, a lot of people I wouldn't know any better would say it's untenable. Like nobody's surviving in that. That's like usually looking at the pictures. So you just get a couple snapshots, and obviously you're there. When you look, you just see the pictures from that incident. So many people are like, nah, you're not saying anybody else.
And that was kind of the anomaly of that call was the bulk of that fire and the ugliness of that fire was at our entry point. Like it was that was the part that looked the worst, and it was rough. Like there was a lot of heat, and the situation or the environment was crap.
Yeah.
But once we pushed into the apartment, like towards the back, it wasn't it wasn't as bad. So we make the decision to split up, and plumber's like, look, we started that first room. He said, I'm gonna go left, you go right. I'm like, okay, cool. Water comes back. Hardesty yells, go. So we go like caged dogs. We're going. Mm-hmm. Plumber takes off down the left, down the hallway. I go to the right towards the front of the building where the bulk of the fire was, and I got absolutely pushed back. Like I was getting my ass kicked. There was no way I tried to make another room. There's no way I could make the turn. Like there was just so much heat that I was like, if there's somebody in there, they're done. Like I'm giving you my all, and I'm having a hard time with gear on. Like there's no way. I come back into the hallway, and I can hear plumber yell down the hallway, I got one. And I'm like, holy shit. So he yells, I got one. At that point, this is the middle of the fire ground where everybody needs to say what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get through on the radio, and I'm getting bonked out. Plumber's, I can see him start to come down the hallway with this body. And I finally get through on the radio, and I tell command, I got a priority message, so we're coming outside Alpha, we got a victim. And it was like, you remember that behind enemy lines scene where like they get fired upon and like everything starts to go into motion?
Yeah,
It was like that situation, like everything started to come into motion, and lines get put where they need to get put. I make contact with plumber, I get under this dude's legs, he's got his arms, and we drag this dude out. We got people trying to help us get lines in place as they're trying to help us get this body out, and it never hits you the gravity of what you're doing as you're doing it, because you're just working. Sure. At this point you're just working, And we send the guy out, and we never talk. There was never any like, hey, what did you do? Where'd you go? That kind of thing. It was like, hey, we need to finish searching this. We knew we had 2 traps, so we're going back at it. So we went back in. I just happened to be in front of plumber going back down the hallway. And I make it to the bathroom, which is where he originally found the guy. Which, long story short, they had made it to the back of their apartment and got in the bathroom, shut the door, put towels around the door to help with smoke, that kind of thing. That's where they made their 911 call. So I make it back in the bathroom, and I remember back in training days or whatever, you're like, hey, check under the beds, check on the bed, check in the shower. So I'm checking in the shower, and I turn to leave the bathroom, and I see this lady's knees. And I'm like, holy shit, now it's my turn.
Yeah.
And I got down, picked her up, and one thing that you're never prepared for is a limp body that's wet.
Yeah.
So she, I don't know if they had like covered themselves in water or if it was sweat or whatever, but you can't see. I didn't know if she was alive until I got close and I watched her take that deep breath. Like it's like almost like an agonal breath where it's like she takes this gasp. I'm like, this is the real deal. Stand her up, and like I said, they had put towels around the door. So it was extremely difficult to get her out of the bathroom because I could not get the door open. And I basically lift her up under both my arms, and I stand straight up, and I just fall back in the shower just to kick the door open. And I don't know if I made some commotion, but I had some help, and I know plumber and another guy or two were in the hallway, and I'm like, hey, just let me get out of the bathroom, and we're gonna get this lady out. So we get her out of the bathroom, make down the hallway. By this time, there's so much water flowing. These guys are making real quick work of knocking this fire back. And I don't know if it was the amount of heat, which helped with steam conversion or whatever, but I felt like things got better so quickly.
Yeah.
When they started putting water on it. And we passed her out. Long story short, went back in for another search to just verify that the apartment was empty. Got it all clear of the apartment, came outside, and then that was it.
Yeah, the adrenaline can start coming out, and they both lived.
You talk about adrenaline dump. I projectile vomited like a cartoon. Like I get off. I don't think I barely got the mask off my face, and it was just this arch coming out.
Oh no shit.
And then Hardesty at the time was, hey, we got to search the next apartment, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, bro.
Can I get 30 seconds?
Give me a second. Like I'm like, this is the craziest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to like adrenaline dump right now, and it didn't hit me for a long time. The gravity of that.
Yeah.
Of what exactly that is, because some people, they go 30 years of their career just to be on the fire ground of something like that happening. And
be at the end of a nozzle or something.
I was a couple years in, and like
pulling people out.
Yeah, and it was very humbling, but it was like, holy shit! Like I got into the fire department because I liked the vibe, and then I got really into it when I was like, hey, look, you have the opportunity to like be there for somebody, and that was one moment in my career where I was like, I feel like my contribution to the game made a difference. It's
mindset wise. I know exactly what you're talking about, because that was Stonehill Drive for me, where we rescued the mom and her daughter, and I just played a part in that. Like there was obviously a handful of us that like guys were in the shit making stuff happen, but to like put the pieces together of crazy advanced fire conditions, finding civilians, pulling them out of the structure unconscious, and then they end up living is like adrenaline and all that kind of stuff aside. It's
that's
like,
the World Series Grand
shit.
Slam.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like to be able to put all your training together, the fitness, the wellness, the mindset, team dynamics, and to make it all happen successfully. Like there's almost no higher calling in the fire service like that, and maybe rescuing like one of your own. And that sets the tone, or maybe like readjusts you, I think, for the rest of your career.
It changes your priorities. It changes the way you train, changes the way you look at the job. Like I don't think when you do something like that, it's like when you run the fire alarm at 2:00 in the morning and like you've only got your bunker pants on and you roll up and you got smoke showing. Like it takes one of those that'll never happen again. You know what I mean? So that's one where you're like, look, you cannot be complacent because at any given moment you're that guy. And like for us, that trip from South Columbia to Laurel, it's not around the corner.
It's a little bit, yeah.
We went a
You're in the
long
lower
ways.
part of Laurel, go up against
So
PG.
you don't have to be the first arriving unit there to make a difference on the fire ground. Like to me, that was like hey, you got to have your mind right and have a plan.
Yeah.
When you get there, but you also got to, and I think it comes with experience. You got to kind of be able to audible from that plan at this point too, where like you need to always have a plan B because, like for this one, like I could tell you going down the road, hey, look, you're going to run this fire today and you're going to have entrapment. Okay. Oh, by the way, the first in engine is going to have a mechanical issue. And when you get there, you might have a second special, you might not, or there's going to be a water issue. Or, hey, there's not going to be a nozzle on the end of that other line. Like, we're going to tack all this other stuff on.
It's never clean.
You've got to be able to audible.
Yeah,
so
it's never clean.
You got to keep your head on swivel and stay moving. So you got to train for that and train to that level because it's never perfect. Like you don't. One of the issues that we had pulling those two out of Blues Alley was I never in my mind thought what an issue it would be for a hose line to be pulling around furniture. And hose lines pull furniture. Yeah. So you make a turn. It's not like a nice squared stairwell. Like you pull a couch or a table and stuff, and that's all in your way. So when you go through something in your mind, you've done this mental map of how I'm going to get back out. That's now been altered. Yeah. Because hose lines are now in place. So you're climbing over hose lines and you're now climbing over furniture that wasn't there 30 seconds ago.
And so rooms are generally set up for walking, living, getting through. And as soon as you mess that up, it changes that.
And I don't remember what piece of furniture was, but I feel like there was a piece of furniture pulled almost towards the hallway, which I remember thinking, what in the hell what is happening? Yeah. But you just got to work through it.
Yeah. That's a good segue to the next one I wanted to hit, which is like this is a first do fire, the garage, like little collapse. I was third due truck. Yeah. You were first due truck.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I had just gotten notification that I was going back to 7 as the engine lieutenant, but I'm still floating. So I'm third due truck. It's late at night, middle of winter, right?
December, maybe January. January.
It was either ended December, early January.
It was January.
I think it was like the first week of January, right after New Year's.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm third due truck. I park on like a back street. We run through the woods and all the commotion's going on. So I think that was like a pretty telling fire for a lot of different. Same thing. Like some parts were a comedy of errors. Some parts of it were really squared away guys like your team all doing the right thing at the right time and how they both mesh up. So I'll let you kind of set it up.
So this was late evening fire, probably like not quite midnight, but not 9 p.m. It was like that, like twilight where everybody's kind of winding down for the evening. Less than a mile from the firehouse, so it's well within our ability to try and get things in place. And if you don't get them in place, you got a second to adjust before everybody shows up and sees that you've blown this or blown that. So in the back of your mind, you got a little bit of leeway to do that, but the other part of that was kind of it changed that risk or that aggressiveness in you is one. I was riding with guys. There's a lot to be said with crew continuity.
Yes.
That I'm riding with guys that I ride with all the time. We train all the time together. We've been together for a good amount of time. So it's on top of knowing their abilities, there is an unsaid communication that happens between you. That we had that. And my officer at the time, very smart guy, but very tactically sound. So it was a very comfortable situation to be in. And then your decision making as far as aggressiveness goes kind of changes on this one too, because that house twilighted as a at-home daycare. So on top of that, in the back of your mind, okay, I don't know exactly what that means. Does that mean that, hey, these people have kids there only during the day, or do they have their own kids there that they are having that daycare for, that kind of it's just convenient that they
just do it in-house.
Yeah. So that kind of changes the how hard you push also, because you don't have truthfully an all clear. And I've always been a firm believer in the old saying is you can trust your information, but you got to verify it. So until we put our set of eyes on there saying that it's all clear, we've got to do that.
Yeah.
They can say it's vacant all day long, but there's the guys from the city will tell you every day that they're finding squatters and this and that.
Absolutely. This is your mindset coming into this joint.
Yeah. So you're thinking going down the road of, hey, I need to give a little bit more than I would, assuming that, hey, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. There's no cars in the driveway.
Right.
There's cars in the driveway. It's a known daycare. You have no idea what's there. And it's, like I said, it's that twilight time where people should be going to bed. So there should be people in the house.
Yeah.
We get there, and like I said, it's one of those like no doubters going down the road where we had to zigzag. It was almost like you get in there through a parallel street.
Yeah.
And you could see the glow bouncing off the houses and the trees. So you're like, okay, that's that mental note where you kind of open the window, you get your mind right, where you can experience it before you experience it. It kind of helps calm the nerves. And we get there, and it was another one of those like fire through the first floor into the second floor, and this place was hopping with really legit exposures, like close enough that siding's
just melting siding. Yeah.
Gone, soffit's burning. Like we're getting ready to lose a second house. Fire was that advanced that quickly, which was kind of strange for having a firehouse less than a mile away, and having a fire so advanced so quick in a neighborhood at night when people should be home.
Yeah.
So we kind of split up. The engine company went heavy water early on to try and knock a lot of that back, to knock the bulk of the fire back, to at least help with the exposure situation. And Maddie and I, the guy I was riding back step with, searched the Bravo exposure first, just to get a quick look, because like I said, at the time, there's cars in everybody's driveway. We don't know who's where.
Yeah, right.
This thing's there's so much fire through the first and second that we can't even make a push until they get some lines in place, because there's really no access. So we get a real quick all clear on the exposure, and we make it back to the fire building before even I think the second due engine rolled up. And you're working with guys like Maddie, for instance, is just a surgical on force entry. So I mean, he made quick work of getting through the door, and so we're scattering through this house and back in this fire building. And like I said, fire through first floor into the second floor. As we open the front doorway, the engine's trying to get a line in, and you could see clear to the back. Like it was really good visibility. So we were able to get a really quick search done of the first floor. And like I said, it was so early on that they're trying to get additional lines in place. And I had told my lieutenant at the time, I was like, hey, I said, I think we can get a really quick search of this second floor. And like I said, you've got this faith in the guys that you work with, that you guys have been together long enough, you trained together, the way each other are thinking. And we know we're not gonna go up there and mess around.
Yeah.
So he was like, yeah, go. Be quick, but go.
Yeah.
So we make the second floor. That's when we, got exposed to a lot more heat than we had on the first floor. I mean, there was mild to moderate heat on the first floor, but the second floor was hot and heavy. We started making the hallway over what I would consider quadrant 1, where the bulk of the fire was. And all the hallway doors were closed, which is a great sign, for fire progression and stopping that, but 2, for any sort of like tenable space that somebody could be. And we start popping doors and open the door, get it all clear the room. Go down the hallway, open the next door, then you see nothing but orange. You're like, yep, not the one.
Yeah.
Make it down to the next door and open that door, and I see nothing but orange, and I can see the street out front where like the window is gone at that point, and the auto exposure from the first floor to the second floor. That's the bulk of the fire room. That's a no-go too. So I turned to tell my lieutenant at the time, like, hey, that end of the hallway, tenable, this end, not so much. And as I turn around, that second door that I had checked, I guess the floor had shifted enough that the door was separating from the frame, and you could see a triangle of orange where
Yeah,
the
that's
door
wild.
door had started to sag.
Mhm.
And I remember telling Joe, my lieutenant, I'm like, hey, this place is going. And he all he said was, yeah, we got to go. And the second he said we got to go, it sounded like a shotgun went off. You just hear this loud crash, and then the floor just went
Yeah.
from underneath of us. And it felt like a fun house, you know, where you're going through, and then you got that like teeter floor
Mhm.
where the whole end of the floor just shifted, and my feet went clean out from under me, and I slid. And Maddie, who happened to be right next to me at the time, I had no idea how he got a hold of it, but he had two hands under both my BA straps and caught me from going down into the bulk of that garage fire room. You know, it's one of those situations where like there's that training scar of when do you call a mayday? Like at what point do you call a mayday? Are you trapped? Are you truthfully trapped? Are you disoriented? What's your situation? And to me at that moment, I was caught in that moment. I had been in the job for a long time, and I'm still like, do I do it or not? Like,
Right.
when do you call for help?
And you're sliding down right now at this point.
And the way I geared up then, and even to this day, I kind of do something somewhat similar, is I'll put my radio strap on and I'll underneath my BA for the sole reason, especially with our cross strap that we wear on our BAs, that keeps my mic in one spot.
It locks it in. Nice,
yeah, it locks it in in a spot that I always know where it's at, until you lose your footing, and then the guy behind you pulls your BA up, and then that mic is over your shoulder.
Yeah.
So I go to call for help, and I can't find it, which just happened to be enough for time for Joe to help Maddie get me on my feet, and we skedaddled out of there. We had enough footing underneath of us to leave, but that was a close one. Like that was we had kind of made, and I don't remember exactly how the conversation went, but we were like, hey, we're pushed, like we're gonna try and make a search.
Yeah, we're getting in there.
With the assumption that the engine company was gonna be lockstep with you. And didn't exactly happen that way. But like I said, we weren't going in there to do we weren't in there to hang out. We were there to do a real quick, dirty, down and dirty, quick primary, in and out, just verifying that, hey, there isn't anybody in here, or that we don't, and then getting conditions. Like if we made a corner, like, hey, look, we think you can make a really good push from this hallway or this spot or whatever, that was kind of the goal of getting there and try and knock this thing as quick as possible and get a quick search out of it. But we never had the hose line with us, but they weren't far. Like it wasn't like they were putting water on the fire. It just wasn't with us in the hallway, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so they were knocking it back from the corner of the Alpha Bravo side.
Going back to like the last fire, not that it was a comedy of errors, but there are also other things that are throwing curveballs. Because I remember maybe in third or fourth due engine having water supply issues.
Mm-hmm.
Other crews on the outside were having issues managing the exposures, but then also doing their exterior operations. Like it was a cold, wet night. Things were freezing up, working off of ladders and stuff. I remember it was spotty, right? So you just have all these other little things from the environment with personnel unseen that are throwing you. Not that you guys had to mess with it necessarily directly, but
on top of that,
other things that could throw a curveball.
For us, I mean, it's a common situation that you and I deal with all the time. Is we were on a dead end cul-de-sac street, so you can talk all day long about, hey, look, in a perfect world, we're going to put 2 engine companies on the front side with a ladder truck, we're going to put 2 engine companies on the rear with a ladder truck, and we're going to have this thing surround, whatever.
Yeah,
that's never the case. So we had access to a quarter of what we should have been able to have access to, and then everybody else is stacked actors on the way out the door. So you're stacked down the street, and in a perfect scenario, you got 2 hydrants in a line, and that's not always the case. So there was no side Charlie access to this house because it backed up to a park, which had, there was room for a ladder truck back there, but it was 100 yards away, it felt like. You're not in a position to either use the aerial or to relatively quickly put ground ladders up from anywhere other than.
Oh yeah, we just, like I said, we were a third due truck, and we just parked on a side street, ran up a hill through the woods. We were probably only 50 yards away, but we were just bringing hand tools.
Yeah, and then take everything that whatever the first truck has there left.
Right.
You're taking all their ladders left because that was a situation with that one. There was no way to get anybody else down that street.
Yeah, it was a tight street. Fast forwarding again. So Nate was in my class.
Mm-hmm.
You would have had exposure to him also because our classes overlap. So you knew Nate. He's now assigned with you. He's on the engine, your truck. The night of Woodscape, you were off.
The night of Woodscape, I was on Kelly.
You're Kelly.
I was on my break day. You and I were on the executive board together. You remember the accessibility that, like, I was always accessible, always on the phone.
Yeah.
Membership issues, you try to handle the best you can. First time in a long time that night, I was laying on the couch with my boys. My kids were really, really little at the time. We were watching a movie, and I looked down and my phone died. And I'm like, okay, for me, it's uncomfortable because I'm like, I am in touch with the world. I'm in touch with the fire department. Like this is my life. Especially being on the executive board, you're just so involved with everything that's going on.
Sure.
That it was uncomfortable. And I remember thinking, this moment is worth having my phone die. Like this moment
you and your
here.
boys, yeah.
This is what it's about. Like I'm on my day off. I got the kids. Kristen's next couch over. It's just good. Like this is what it's about. So long story short, my phone dies. I don't even think to charge it at this point. Like I'm happy, go to bed. I wake up in the middle of the night to Kristen's phone going off, who one of my really good friends from back home was a DC fireman, called and said, "Hey, where's Steve?" And she's like, "What are you talking? He's right here." She's like, "There's a fire in Howard and it's bad. I think somebody's down." And I hear it, and I sat up. It's almost like Beetlejuice coming up out of bed. Like I'm up, and I'm like, well, "What did he just say?" He's like, "Yeah, apparently." And I got on the phone and said, "What?" He said, "There's a fire in Clarksville." He said, "It's bad. I don't think the outcome's good." I said, "Well, who?" And he said, "They keep saying somebody from 10." So I'm like, "Oh my God, it's my fucking shift." So in your mind, you're going through the Rolodex of who in the hell was working and who was riding where and who was doing what. I get in a car, coming up the road. I'm calling anybody that would answer the phone at that point. Maddie, who I was speaking about earlier, answers, and I'm like, "Hey, well, what's going on?" He's like, "Get here." I said, "Matt," I said, I am too far away to be guessing what's going on. I said, "What happened?" He said, "Nate's down, and he's not going to make it." And I said, "Okay. What happened?" He said, "Look, dude, just get here."
Yeah.
So probably at some point set some sort of land speed record from Southern Maryland to Howard County General, but get up there to the hospital, and it was the craziest experience. A hospital that I've been in thousands of times in my career was not in the remotest way anything I've ever experienced before walking through those doors. The ER was shut down. The ER in Howard County is split in, at the time, it's still sort of the same, but it's split into two sides.
Yeah.
One whole side was cordoned off, and that was where all our people were. And walking through the doorway, I remember locking eyes with the charge nurse at the desk, and she immediately looks down at her papers or whatever in front, and I was like, "Man, and it's just dead silent." And I could smell everybody's turnout gear.
Yeah.
Like it hits you like a fresh baked pie when you walk into your grandma's house. Like it was that much in your face. And I remember thinking, what? And I walked the corner, and the entire first alarm is just kind of there. And Celeste had just gotten there. I got a chance to speak with her and talk to the guys, and it was very, very surreal to it was one of those situations where it's always somebody else. It's always somebody else's department. It's always, did you hear what happened out west? Did you hear what happened in this city, that city? And I'm like, this is us. And on top of this is us. This is my guys. And you talk about who was on what line and the RIT crew that went in. Like it's not, you don't have firefighter A, firefighter B. You have names of people. Like you went in as a RIT crew. I've been out drinking with your wife and you've been out with Kristen. Like we've, this is family at this point.
Yeah, we know each other. Our wives know each other.
So this is now, this is very real. And like when the Blues Alley call, where like you bend down, you see her take that gasping breath, and it kind of shakes you. Like, hey, this is real shit.
Yeah.
that was the real shit moment of, hey, these people that affected this rescue or operate on this fire ground tonight are all people that I don't just know them by name, I know their families, and like this was big. And to try and put yourself in the shoes of guys, like I said, the crew continuity is huge, of guys that I work with for years and years and years and years, that I know the way they think, I know the way they act, I know the way they work, but try to put yourself in the shoes of them when you weren't there with them.
Yeah.
It's tough to be like, hey, brother, I love you, I understand you, and I feel for you. And I know what you're feeling, but I don't know exactly how you're feeling, because I don't have those windows down, smell the smoke environment that you did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I am playing the Monday morning quarterback, where I have all the facts, or I have what I think are the facts at this point. I didn't work through the decision making that you guys did.
Yeah.
So you try to empathize with these guys and be there for them, but at the end of the day, they're the ones they're the man in the arena making the decision, and you just got to, be that supporting, loving figure, that shift mate, that family member. I feel like I fell into the spouse role where, like, I know that you do this job, but now I have to support you and help you work through, getting through shift by shift after this point, because it changed everything for us.
Was that harder for you? Because I know, like, you're a go-getter, and I know you would want to have been there as some of the guys that were off on our side that night. Like, did that make it harder to have to manage between relationships and the aftermath, for lack of better words? And like,
I love being aggressive, and I like, for us, I feel like fires aren't as much of an everyday occurrence. So, like, you're like a starved dog. So when you eat, you got to eat. So you got to go hard. But at the end of the day, the guys that I was working with at the time, and the crews that were there, they're in the same mindset. So that's that crew continuity, that blind faith in each other, that, like, I know that I would have gone hard, but I know on the same end that you go hard, and that the guys there, Timmy and Barry and some of these guys, they did if they said that they tried, they fucking tried. You know what I mean? If there's not a stone unturned.
You're not guessing.
No. And there was, I know what I would have done, but I don't second guess a single thing that anybody there did that night, because I know the people that were there and know how hard they would have pushed and how hard they would have tried.
I want to highlight that real quick, because I think that's so important, because I think a lot of people in shifts probably don't have that. But that was nurtured over years of training, of running calls together, and just even spending time inside and outside the firehouse together. Like, that didn't happen overnight.
No, you have to
have that implicit trust of knowing they did everything they could and being at peace with that. You can't understate that, because I think so many people don't have that. And I'm not trying to demean anybody. There's certainly shifts out there that have that, but I think that's super important to highlight.
You can knock the culture a little bit in the service of, people are like, the fire department's changed. The fire department isn't what it used to be, and that's not true at all. The fire department hasn't changed at all, not in the slightest. Whether it's pulling a box alarm on a street corner, or running to the neighbor's house and picking up the phone, or dialing from your cell phone, or even texting 911, people are still calling for help today the same they were 100 years ago. So people still need the fire department. The same personnel, the same people are answering the call of, hey, I want to be that person to come and help and be that service, because nobody gets in the fire department like, man, I'm going to be rich doing this, because you don't get rich in the fire service at all. So there's a little bit if you got to want to be there, but you can't say the culture's dead, because you have to be part of that culture. The fire department itself, insert any fire department name, they're not going to come to you like, hey, what kind of furniture do you want? What kind of pictures do you want on your wall? That's on your membership. That, and the way you train, the way you talk to each other, the way that you create that vibe, that life, that firehouse mentality, that teamwork is on each individual member. So that relationship, whether it's spousal with you and Jess, or me and Kristen, or shift to shift, or even member to department, it's not always 50-50.
Yeah.
So there's times that that Kristen will see that I'm giving 30 on any given day, and she'll give 70.
Yes.
But the membership has to do that also. So if
Yeah.
you think that the culture is lacking, you need to give more.
Yep.
So if you feel like you're not, you don't have to like everybody, but if you feel like you're not driving, it's a two-way street. So you
Yes.
gotta go and give your side a little bit more, or go a little bit extra. And we did I think that group, and even the group that's there today, do a pretty damn good job of being there for each other, and trying to keep that culture, that sense of family alive. Of, at the end of the day, when this is over, it's over. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So what do you have in that time period that you can look back on? It's the way that you treat each other.
Yeah.
And the way that your experiences you have back and forth. And when people dial 911, you know, what are you giving them? Like, are you giving them, and I don't want to say service with a smile, but are you treating people the way they should be treated?
Right.
And that can be on the shift too. So you guys have got to
It starts within the shift.
100%.
So then it can spread out
And
to the community.
that's one of those like top down, bottom up leadership things where like it doesn't matter who you are, you've got to have initiative and want to give back. You got to go harder for your shift than a lot of times you would go for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And what that does is like if I know that I'll go hard, like this dude just drove 3 hours to come help me move, I'm fairly certain that if I fell because the floor went out from under me, he's going to grab my BA straps.
Right.
Like those little things mean big things at the end of the day.
Yeah, I love that.
So
I appreciate that.
Those little things, and the whether it's a fishing trip or a morning breakfast or whatever, they mean something. You start building. It might not be, like I said, you don't have to like the person, but you have to have a rapport, and an understanding is probably the best way to put it. And when you start understanding each other, everything else gets easier.
Yeah. Man, I appreciate that. I've heard here recently some guys and gals say, like, man, this isn't the fire department I came up in anymore. And they're like, I'm okay with it, but like, I can see myself moving away, moving out. I'm not sure I agree with that. Kind of going back to what you said about like the fire department's been the same. Like technology changes, but we're still here to provide the same service to the community. It looks different, but the mission hasn't changed.
What that means is that that says to me is that, hey, look, I understand that I'm not getting what I was getting before, or that 50-50 is not there. And instead of accepting that the 50-50 is not there, if the other side is giving 30, I'm still giving you 50.
Yeah,
I'm refusing to close that gap. And that's the problem, I think, is people need to be willing to, if you don't like the way something is, or you think that we could, training, you know, you think we could make something better or train better, give more.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Like I said, you don't get here to get rich. So nobody here is going to be like, oh man, that was a really good trainer. That was a really good job on that call. Here's a bonus. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you've got to want this. And you know, when you sign up and you get here and you understand this is service to others. They don't sign when I sat there with Karen Keeker that day to fill my paperwork out. By the way, you're going to get rich doing this, and everything is going to be about you. No, you are here to give back, and you have to. I don't know the best way to put it, but embrace the fact that you're here for other people, and that doesn't mean always the community. That means the people that you work with.
Yeah,
and you know, you do it to your family. You know, you become a father or a mother, and you can't be the selfish child that you were when you were 16, 17 years old, or screw it, somebody else is going to do my laundry or wash my dishes or whatever. You now have to take care and take responsibility of other people.
Yeah.
So you move on through your career, and you might not have the leadership that you had before, or the shift environment that you had before. That means you got to carry a little bit more water than you did before.
Yeah.
You've got to be that change. You've got to, if you want the culture to be a certain way, help steer it. Carry that water and bring the culture that you think that we need to have.
When you sign up for this job, I think some people underestimate that no matter where you're at in your career, you are a leader. There's formal leadership up high, you know, officership, whatever, senior guys. As a recruit firefighter, you still have to employ leadership traits. Because you are, yes, dealing with life and death. You're dealing with team dynamics, multiple human beings and all their messiness from personal and professional life, and you're making decisions 5 minutes on the job, right? And I think sometimes we underestimate that because maybe you're the new person, or hey, I've only got 5 years on. We all have to take some type of leadership. We have to take some type of responsibility. And something I'd like to go back on is it's literally in the name. It's fire service. It's a service-oriented mission, and kind of like just going back to what you said, it's service to the community, it's service to the mission, it's service to your own team. And when you're at home, it's service to your family, the kids, whatever's happening. But when people, I think, take a step back and realize and focus on that word service, a lot of the other noise that we get caught up in can kind of get shut down. And I think that's what we can focus on.
If you called for help in any facet of life, whether you called for an appliance repairman or a doctor or whatever, you don't want somebody on the other side saying, "Oh God, you called the wrong day." You call tomorrow, you probably get a little bit better service. You don't ever want that. You watch a movie or something, you don't want, as a kid, you watch a movie, you want to be Superman or Wonder Woman. You don't want to be, I want to be bartender number 3. You know what I mean? Like you want a speakable role. So people that get in this service, why wait for stuff to happen or to happen to you? Be a contributing member, be the initiative, be the culture, be the person that people rely on. Because if you're that reliable member of the team or the shift or the crew or whatever you want to call it, when people call, they want somebody that can answer their question, no matter what the question is, whether it's a flat tire, somebody trapped in the bathroom, or car accident or whatever. You want somebody that knows how to provide service. And
I'm going to add another layer to this. You've been in situations personally, professionally, that have really tested you. We have also spent a lot of time together on the union executive board, where we have had to make really hard decisions that nobody else can know about because it's like legal, personnel, whatever. And as a husband, father, leader, firefighter, union leader, all those things that you can wrap up in your experience bank, you can sit there and say, like, man, I've had to make some really hard decisions. Sometimes they might go against policy, but there's a higher moral ground here. Or maybe this is going to be unpopular, but it's the right thing. You have all the data, but it's super common with the union, right? Like we have all the information. The other 500 people in the union don't have the information. They're going off a rumor. But we had to make this decision. We came out with a unified front, and we did the right thing with what we had at the time, right? And what's your thoughts on that? How do you manage that? Because you've been on the receiving end where, like, man, yeah, I got to take this one on the chin. And then there's other times where, like, no, I made this decision, and yeah, maybe I am breaking a rule, or maybe I'm making something that's unpopular. I'm pushing to get something, but it runs deeper than just what's on paper right now.
So there's a saying in the medical world is like, sometimes if you got to go outside of policy, you treat the patient, not the monitor.
Right.
So at the end of the day, you got to do the right thing. And unfortunately, and like as you know from being an officer now, and as I've learned many times, most of the time the hard way, is that usually the right decision is never the easy decision. And at the end of the day, does it break policy? Maybe. But does it? The question that you have to answer at that point is whether it breaks policy or not, or a rule or this or that, does it follow the mission? So if the mission and the intent is to follow the mission, I mean, morality is a big part of it. So you do the right thing for your family, your people, your members, your shift, those that work above you, below you, and then just be able to justify your decisions. So did I do exactly what's on paper, what this thing says to do? No, but here's why I did it.
Yeah.
That's what steers, I think, a lot of people to justify or to understand a direction that you're going, is just be able to justify the decision that you made. Yeah. Like I said, the right decision is not normally the easiest one, but go in there and be able to say, look, here's what I did, why I did, and here's why I think we're supporting the mission to go this way or to do this.
And you're taking that extra step to explain the why, though. And
You
some
have to.
people, and some people, I think, mess that up.
Yeah, you have to, because you know, from being on the executive board and stuff where we'd be together, where we didn't, I don't think ever had a time where we all agreed on everything.
No.
But if you understood the mission and understood the reasoning behind the way a decision was made, you might not agree with it, but at least you can swallow it and stomach it down and say, okay, at least understand.
I respect it.
Yeah. And it's a level of respect. Like I said, it's if you're following the mission, normally that's morality is kind of going hand in hand. Hopefully, if it's a good mission statement.
Right, usually.
Unless it's a cookie cutter out of, you know, some sort of
some bullshit.
Yeah, leadership magazine somewhere.
Right. You have 15 core values that you can't recite.
Yeah. But if you have a true to self and service and valuable mission, like, hey, this is our goal for the day or the week, the month, or the service of my 10, 15, 30, 35 year career. Yes, I want to come in and I want to make a difference, and this is how we're going to do it. And sometimes it's not always pretty. It's normally never just black and white.
Yeah.
Everything that we dealt with on the executive board was never black and white. If it was black and white, anybody can make the decision. It'd be easy.
Right.
So it's never black and white, but you got to be able to steer that and show people, hey, look, it's gray, but here's why it's gray, and here's how we're going to make the best that we can out of it.
Yeah.
I know that's very vague and without trying to get specifics, but
no, I get it. No, I think there's so many times when people don't realize, and I'll just go back to the union stuff. There'd be times when, you know, hey, it's Friday night, we're taking our wives out to dinner, and a call comes in because some dude's about to lose his job over something crazy, and it's 9 o'clock, and we're all sitting on phones, like trying to hash this out and figure it out, or in this room where we're spending hours mulling over all the different avenues something could take.
It's almost like a war room.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It is like a war room. Yeah. And then by the end of it, it's like, all right, this is how we're coming out of this together.
I always, when we would do stuff like that, I always refer to it as a huddle. So you get in the huddle, you put it to football, you get in the huddle, you guys argue about a play, we talk about the play, we talk about the play, talk about the play. But the second you guys all clap your hands and you walk away from the huddle, you have an understanding of, hey, what you're trying to do. Everybody's trying to move the ball forward.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to the line saying, hey, we're going to run the ball, but I really think we should have thrown it. You got to go, because if you let that information go, now they're going to set up a run defense and you're not moving the ball at all. So you have to break the huddle all on the same page, whether you agree with it or not, because at the end of the day, the mission is to move the ball forward.
Yeah.
So stay true to the mission, whether you agree with it or not sometimes, and normally
you're going to come out pretty clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, you got to have a good mission statement for that.
Right. We're past 90 minutes now. Is there anything we missed you feel strongly about, you want to hit? Incidents, personnel?
If we go back to the special ops thing, and you were talking about the unsung leader or the newer member that's a leader, one thing that I learned early on in special operations is you don't always have to be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
I have valued the special operations arena because I feel like it's one of those situations where iron sharpens iron.
Yes.
And I've always been surrounded by people in the special operations realm that want to be there and want to be the best at what they're doing. You know, there's guys that Dane Yakich, for instance, who is probably one of the most reliable, hardworking guys I've ever had the opportunity to work with.
Solid dude, yeah.
But the thing about him is, and he's an anomaly because he's a walking textbook. Like the dude should have changed his name to Tabulated Data because the dude knows everything. But to know that and know that, yeah, I'm the lieutenant there, but we might run a collapse or something where I'm speaking with a building engineer. I don't have to know everything. But if I got a Dane there or a Matty there or a Timmy there or somebody that's good at whatever arena that we're in and use them for...
Lean on them.
Yeah. You don't have to, like, sometimes people become officers, and just because you get a bugle or you get 2 bugles or your bugles start crossing, that doesn't come with intelligence. That doesn't come with like, hey, I know everything now, and just listen, just hold on because I've got the realm or the direction of this. But you've got guys there, like I said, everybody's true to the mission and everybody wants to move the ball forward, and put those people in a position that you can make the special operations team or the fire service or whatever you're running successful. And sometimes that might be snagging the recruit. You're talking about Doug Honig earlier, who was a master electrician when he left.
Yeah.
You run a call that electricity's, you can't see it. You
Right.
have to know it's there. And you have somebody that understands that, whether it's a recruit or a 30-year guy, you got to use them for what they're valuable at.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the fire service, that everybody comes from all these different walks of life
Mhm.
to do this job. Like, you don't go to this fire school where like everybody's like, okay, you elementary school, middle school, high school, you're going to learn, fire dynamics and smoke behavior,
Hydraulics,
and,
right.
yeah, and trauma calls and this and that. But you get people from different walks of life saying, hey, look, this would be like for instance, me, like I said, I kind of was starting to steer towards like the legal realm. I'm like, hey, this would be kind of cool to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
And then I get hit in the face with what this service is, and I'm like, man, this is for me.
Yeah.
That happens to everybody. There's guys that are, coming from the military or coming from the police department or nursing or whatever, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, look, this is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Use them for what they're good at and allow them to help you move the ball forward.
And you're just creating ownership. You're
Yeah,
creating
100%.
ownership for them. They dig into
Well,
it.
on
It's
the other
helping
end
you
of it,
out.
though, is that you open this level of leadership up to these people, that you're not just like this walking robot of if this,
It's
then
my
this.
way. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then that allows this understanding, like it goes back to the culture thing of like, hey, look, I understand, like I'm part of this team, just because you sit up front and talk on the radio doesn't mean, you know what the hell's going on all the time.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, but if you're surrounded by guys that you have that blind faith in, and like, what their backgrounds are, and you put the players in the positions that they're good at. For instance, when I came to 10, the senior wagon driver at the time, on his part-time, every day that he was off, ran a crane. So when we got into heavy rigging, that was your guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that was the dude that like nobody else knew load calculations and angles and all that stuff like he did. So why discredit years of experience? Like, well, I got a bugle, so I now know.
Right. You
don't.
step back and support.
Right. And that's what, back in the day, that's what made our shift so damn tight, was we had a couple officers at the time that had to be the smartest people in the room. And that, you create a common enemy, and that's gonna tighten everybody up.
Yeah, the rest of the shift's gonna be super tight because
But-
the rallying against you.
In reality, at the end of the day, I learned so much from those dudes, because I was like, if I ever get the opportunity to be an officer, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to value what my guys bring to the table. And the second I got made, I was like, dude, I am going to stay true to that word, because I felt so belittled and undervalued. You take an adult that's 40, 50 years old and treat them like a child. You want to talk about a meltdown and a crush of the service and the culture? Like, there it is.
You're right.
But you treat an adult like an
Serve it up.
adult and let them be a contributing member of the team. And there's so much value that you get out of that. And they're going to push harder for you than you'll ask. Like, I was pulled aside one day, and I think I told you a story of talking to a supervisor of mine, and one that's a little bit out there. And he was like, you think you're pushing them too hard? And I said, listen, here's the plan I came in with today. And this is what these guys wanted to do training wise, and they're training because they want to. I didn't ask them to train, and they're training.
Mm-hmm.
And if you create that environment where you have give them the autonomy to like, hey, if we want to make ourselves better on top of whatever else we've got going on. And I had shift transition that morning, and I laid out, hey, here's what we need to get done today. And they added that on top of it.
Yep.
So that environment comes from treating people like a team member and giving them value and understanding your mission and your goal and being a contributing member. And all of them step up and rise to that challenge.
Yeah. That's always been a hallmark trait that I've seen, is like, once you've laid it out, or like, hey, this is what I want to get done, and they're going above and beyond that, do not get in their way.
No.
Let them do that, because they're that motivated and jazzed up for this job to go above and beyond what you have already put in place. Like, get out of their way and let it happen.
And this is a blessing, is that my burden right now is when I'm like, hey, if you're doing that, put your safety glasses on. You know what I mean? Like, that's like that. And that is a great environment to have, where you're
Hell
like, hey,
yeah.
look, you're doing the right thing. Everybody's getting better because of what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Don't put your gloves on.
Right.
Like,
Right.
just be smart about it. But it's good, man. Like I
Love
said,
it.
you got to have that environment.
Yeah. Oh man, I appreciate this. We have, I mean, we're at 20 years now knowing each other. Like you said, our wives know each other. We've had many morning beer in a union office or late
Dude,
at night
how about
doing
the
stuff.
when we were floating together? Or like I don't know if you were floating or I was floating, but you would turn and look at the clock and it's 1:30 in the morning and we're talking theory and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, I need to go to
Dude,
bed.
yeah, I cherish those conversations, man. I've always appreciated it, and you make me more fired up for this job. And I know that. I think we've also talked about this when we run calls together. We show up, and we know everything's going to be okay because I know that you've got my back, and vice versa. Our teams work really well together.
I think a lot of it too, and if I could add anything to like tell other people, or if anybody like cares to understand, is you and I talk a lot. Like we run calls, and I may have run a call that you've ran that I'm just staging on, but I'm like, hey, what you were talking about, what piggyback did you have? Like when we talk about building layouts, or hey, I was going to position this way. What do you think? Like we talk about positioning, or hey, it's a little as hey, I'm switching out. Keep your ear out. We're going out of service for an hour. But I feel like you and I have a really open line of communication. And I'll break it down to the last text thread I sent you last night. Of you and I were snaking a bot. I'm always watching what you're doing. You're probably always watching what I'm doing because, I mean, you got the wiggle stick and I got the premier ladder truck in the county. But there'll be a text that, hey, I see, what are you doing on 32? And I'll be like, mind your business.
Right.
Yep. You stay on your side of the
the
three
beeps come out and we're trying to jump it, trying to get ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you trying to do?
At the end of the day, that conversation, that communication, I can kind of play off at this point. I got your mindset. And if you're positioning or coming in a certain way, I'm like, okay, I know that he's going to come in this way. And one of the wonderful things of the MDT now is GPS. I can watch what you're doing. And I can play into, okay, he's going to come this way. I'm going to do this.
Exactly.
And then like last night, for instance, it was a little nothing fire, but the positioning was phenomenal.
Yeah, it worked out great.
Because we were able to get 2 ladder trucks within probably 40 foot of the building well into the incident.
Nose to nose.
Nose to nose. Even though we blew a water main out, I mean, it's
right. Almost created a sinkhole in the
That's the anomaly that you can't account for. That's the part of the call. But
yeah, I come out of the house out of the basement and you're looking at me like, hey, if you're good with it, I'm going to load up all your shit and I'm going to move your truck.
I've never in my life had to pull an officer aside like, hey, I'm moving your rig right now. Why? Just trust me.
Right.
You get ready to be undermined. There's a lot of water flowing in the street underneath the ground.
Yeah, there's water shooting up from every side of the asphalt right now.
I don't know if you noticed, but like after we moved 71, that whole asphalt shifted.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, and I could bounce on it like a diving board. Like it was going to go.
Oh shit.
It was ugly.
Yeah, we've been having some issues in that neighborhood.
But yeah, I mean, I think communication's key, man. Like we talk a lot, but it also helps the background too. We battled it out of this table. We've had beers together, all of it. But
a lot of years built up to get us where we're having our shenanigans now.
Yep, crew integrity, man. Crew continuity.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you inviting me on. I told you, like I getting in front of the microphone or whatever, it makes me nervous as hell. The fact that you never said that we were recording probably helped.
I think sometimes I'll just do a cold start.
I just started talking because I thought that we were just doing like shooting the shit or pre-interview or whatever.